welcome to Straight Six Man. I'm Grant Tommy, helping you build your hot rod in your confidence without a ton of money. And today we're back on Project Low Fairmont. Feels so good to have that oil pan gasket done and replaced. But I gotta be honest, doing 3 days worth of work, lying on my back under that car really took quite a bit out of me. And especially because I was sort of motivated to get stuff done so I could take Friday off, go check out Rocky Mountain Race Week, which, by the way, if you haven't seen my behind the scenes coverage from their info card up over here to that episode, it really was a pretty cool experience, good time, especially anytime you're out at Nobody's show. That would be Chatterlick or his place, Nobody's Auto Recycling. Anytime you're out there, it's a great time, so go check that episode out. Really cool stuff. But I guess what I'm trying to say is today I'm going to take it kind of easy. There's a couple things I need for Project Low Fairmont that are going to prevent me from installing the headers or the intake manifold. So we'll get into that here as the episode goes on. But I think where I'll start is the intake manifold itself. And well, as you may recall, I ported one side of it a couple weeks back, but I never got around to doing the other side, so we're going to do that today. And then clean this up. I was thinking I was going to have to hot tank dip this, but an actual episode of Horsepower TV, those guys said, hey, you can use a garden hose to clean out your metal shavings. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I'll, of course, be using like brake cleaner as well. Not just water, probably, you know, some sort of lubricant. But we'll get this other side ported because the next big step is going to be, and this is the first time you guys are seeing this, I'm upgrading my carb. I know it's not a 4-barrel like a lot of you guys want, but this is the stock 2150 that came with the car, and it 1.08 Venturi, which equates out to be about like a 89, I think, CFM carb, or 87 maybe. And I'm going to upgrade that to a 1.21 Venturi, which is, I think, I've seen anywhere from 345 CFM to 350. So, slight bump in CFM, but yeah, that's not the only thing. I will be rebuilding this carb with this rebuild kit from Mike's Carburetor. You can find them actually here on YouTube. I will leave an info card to their channel. But for my birthday, I got the rebuild kit. So this carburetor only sent me back $35. I feel like it's going to be a worthwhile upgrade. One other thing that's kind of different between the two, well, first off, this little secondary choke flap up here. It's so tiny, it's cute, but don't have that on the stalker. But this, and I forget what they call them, I should have looked this up before I'm on camera, but this piece, again, I will probably be captioning below what I should have looked up. But on the bigger 2150, I've got the dual diaphragm, which I think it's sort of like, it helps at highway speeds. Yeah, just for reference, this came off of a 80s AMC Jeep, so that's why it's a little bit bigger, because it was feeding something more like a 360 AMC as opposed to my 302. But anyway, I'm excited. There's going to be a few things over the course of the week. We probably aren't going to dive in deep into the carburetor on this episode, but start swapping things over, like throttle linkage and whatnot from my stock one, so that way everything, you know, like the throttle cable hooks up right at the right point. So we swapping those mechanisms over, but otherwise everything's pretty well the same, both being Motorcraft 2150s. The only other difference, major difference, significant difference, is on the back side of the AMC carb. This guy, which I guess helps adjust for altitude. Hey, so maybe I could go to Rocky Mountain Race Week next year. Just kidding. But yeah, just kind of some minor things. So over time, we'll be swapping over swapping over, as we rebuild the AMC version, we'll be swapping over, you know, the minor differences, like this little vacuum actuated, I think that's for the electric choke. But yeah, I realize I'm just blabbing now, a little out of my game, out of my element, so I apologize. The Rocky Mountain Race Week coverage, between spending a day out in the sun on Friday, getting toasted, and doing an edit early this morning to try to get something up, I have very little planned for this episode, so I apologize. This is just kind of a update vlog style, me talking. You're not going to see a lot of action. You may recognize too, I'm 100% filming this with the DJI Osmo action cam, and that being because I forgot to throw the battery for the Canon in the charger, so this one had a little more battery life in it, so we decided just to roll with this one. One other thing to update you guys from the last Fairmont episode is I got the steering rack. You guys probably noticed me get the steering rack back up in place on that episode, but what I noticed was I'm a little short back here on hooking back up. Let's see if you can get you guys in there. The steering linkage, so I'm afraid I'm gonna have to take the steering rack off, well, or unbolt it again at the K member so we can get the steering linkage hooked back up first, and then we'll come back here and rebolt it. So again, that's why we're not going to show you a whole lot of action stuff, because it's kind of just miscellaneous this and that on this episode, that it's going to be hard just to put it into cohesive episodes. So again, I apologize. This might not get great watch time, but you know, for those of you following along the journey of the build, Project Blue Fairmont, this is your update, and well, thanks for sticking around this far. Okay, we are back hooked up, and that feels good. This was a little bit of a booger to get all back together, but we got it. The only thing I'm not going to finish from the deconstruction for my oil pan gasket is my sway bar. I'm going to leave it dangling here for a little while longer. I have a lead on a thicker sway bar. I guess the later model GT Mustangs, so I think 87 plus, had an inch and 5/16, I want to say, 5/32 maybe, diameter sway bar. This one's about 7/8 or 15/16. And because the only reason I'm thinking about one of those is because all my bushings are shot as well. This I've ignored once. I can't bring myself to ignore it twice. When these control arms dangled for the longest time when I was doing my Ranger rotor install, it just put extra stress on these bushings, and so it's like, well, if I'm going to do new bushings here, I'll want to do new bushings there, and if I'm going to do that, it's like, if I can find a deal on sway bar, especially considering now that the oil pan gasket is fixed, I can pass tech at like a road race event. I just think that'd be good content. That'd be fun to take this. Always wanted to do that. So, yep. But I'm in conversation with the guy in Oregon. We're trying to kind of agree on a price. If he can do it for a certain price with shipping, we have ourselves a deal, but haven't heard back from him. So, anyway, I'm waiting on pulling the trigger on buying these bushings with these, because if I spend $49, it's free shipping at LMR, and I've got it all lined up, ready to go. But if I get a new sway bar, thicker sway bar, of course, this bushing size will want to change. So, anyway, I feel like that'll be exciting. One of the objectives for Project Blue Fairmont was to try to hit as many parts of the car as possible. Now, obviously, I know I'm over budget and kind of made a big deal about sticking to the budget, and here I am purposefully going further over the budget, but info card up over here if you want to see what that's all about. But like I said, I think if I can take this to a road course competition sometime just to have fun. I think that'll make good video. And so it's as my boy Paul Riccardi says, it should handle better than a Model A, but maybe not as good as GT350R. So we kind of decided we might put that on a shirt at some point. So I think it'd be cool even with bad shocks, stock suspension. Okay, what's a thicker sway bar do for you, and some good bushings up front. I think it'll just be fun. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm heading down that route. And I haven't technically done anything for steering and suspension. We've done brakes, we've done wheels and tires, but we haven't done any steering and suspension upgrades. So again, if I could overlook how bad those bushings were once, but I couldn't do it twice. Okay, here we are on the back side of the 22150s, and to help explain a little bit of what I meant by the 1.08 and the 1.21 Venturi is, well, if you can see here, we're at the bottom of the carb. We're looking at the throttle plates right here, and so this bore is a little over inch and a half and 545 thousandths. Head over here to the AMC carb, and let's see if I can get this caliper in there. Oh, come on. We are at the same 1.5 and 545 thousandths. So you might be wondering, okay, so what's the big difference here? Well, you open up the throttle blade of the 1.08, you can kind of see that chamfered ridge in there. See how thick that is? That necks down the bore size to that 1.08, and I'm guessing that's probably 1 inch 20 thousandths. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm just gonna guess that's what it is. That would make sense, kind of eyeballing it compared to what we just measured this bottom at. Head over to the AMC, head over to the Jeep carb, and we open the throttle plate, and you can see that same chamfer, but it's a lot more thinner, a lot, you know, more like a pencil pinstripe than a thick band. So alright, so not sure how successful this is going to be. We're going to try it. We got the old shop vac hooked up to the intake manifold. Ideally, probably would have TIG welded like a plate. So I don't know how well that really seals, but we're going to try it. And we're going to port this side and hopefully be done. I mean, well, we'll want to clean up, wash up, do all that kind of stuff to get all the metal dust out of it. We don't want our new heads to be breathing that through, so yeah, we'll port it and then we'll clean it. Alright, finally got the other side ported, so that feels good. Hopefully I think I am gonna actually go get it tank dipped, because just seeing how fine the powder is I made, I don't really trust the old garden hose and brake cleaner. And it'll be good for like the coolant passage as well. So yeah, that's what I'll do. I also need to just spray it out with air. See what we can get out now. But yeah, feels good now. It's just time to pick everything up. Fun part of the day. But that's going to do it for this episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I don't care which one you do, as long as you do one. Go check out one of these other two videos to get caught up on the head swap. And that's going to do it for this episode. Until next time, peace out.